Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rena. If you're new here, then welcome. Today we're gonna do a get ready with me together using all Australian brands. I think I've done something similar before, but this time I've got each product from different brands and there's no repetition, and I was able to manage like 14 brands all from Australia. I think there's only one, it's a UK brand, but it's so popular and easy access here in Australia than even in UK. So let's just go through them and see how I feel, and we can test out the makeup quality here in Australia. If you like today's video, don't forget to give me a like and consider subscribe down below. Right, starting with primer, I was able to manage found two. One is Nude by Nature, the other one is designer brand. I would like to use the designer brand Blur primer to quickly block my nose, pores, etc. I have used this one before and I think I've shown it in the video before. It's a very typical silicone primer. It's not as heavy strong as Professional, the Benefit one. That one is really for minimizing pores. This is more of minimizing in general, but not heavy, but I think it's more suitable for everyone. Where the Professional ones, I feel like sometimes a bit too thick, and it does take a long time to set your face, and it might not be the best for just, you know, average majority people. It's more for people who have really large pores, if that makes sense. So that's just my T-zones where I would need those, and I will go use the Nude by Nature Perfecting Primer, Smoothing and Nourish. I've got a travel size here, so let's just use it the first time. I have not opened this either. It came out with a milky cream kind of texture, and it feels pretty lightweight as well, like lotiony actually. That's good. That will just boost a bit of hydration, because I did had a AHA exfoliating mask last night, and I've used extra hydrating serum today, and I still felt, because last night that was the only thing that I did. That's how the treatment goes. I just think I need a bit of more water boost. That's feeling really nice, and it smells good as well. It's got quite a lot of good ingredients at the back on this packaging. It says I've got this little travel size, and 10 mils is going to last me long enough. So my skin is very nicely hydrated. Let's go ahead with foundation. I have got Napoleon Perdis Set Memory Foundation. I got a feeling like Napoleon Perdis is still existed, that's for sure, but this line is no longer existing. It is a little bit sad in my opinion, but the foundation is really good. I do still have their eye primer, and then the other thing I've got is their face powder. Oh, that powder is a really good one as well. So this is meant to be a introductory sort of line from Napoleon Perdis. It's just kind of like a tinted moisturizer, so I like to just like dot it around my face, and then I actually blend it first with my fingers. I think I do that for most of the foundation, unless it's some really particular formula. And this big tube is like, I remember it's like 40 mils or something. 50? Yeah, 50 mils. It's like a good decent size. So I just do the most, blend it in, and then I'll use a sponge to tap. Let me just grab a mirror. I am using natural light, so hopefully you see the true color of the foundation as well as all the other products, but there might be just a little bit in and out sunshine, because I think today's cloudy. It was not meant to rain, and it still rained yesterday morning, I think, or overnight, maybe like the day before. It doesn't have a whole bunch of coverage. I think it just overall tones the skin a little bit. So I do sometimes just kind of add a little bit of second layer on. I'm so sad seeing this line is not available because it is really, really good in my opinion. And it was very affordable as well. So that's was just a good thing because Napoleon Perdis is not very cheap. I did use the setting spray to kind of spray all over my sponge, and I'm using a Sevi by Designer Brand setting spray. This used to be my project pan, I think it was last year. Did not success, but I think I might have a chance finishing this year. And now we're gonna set my face. I did bought two things to set my face. One is Modest Perverse Mineral Veil Finishing Powder, so that's just for an overall finish. I did also bring out the Australis Fresh and Flawless pressed powder to add on coverage. But before we go that, we should do concealer, yeah? The concealer that I got is, don't tell me I don't have a concealer. Oh yes, I do. It's by the brand W7. This is the only UK brand, but it's super popular here in Australia. And this is actually a multi-pack. You can see it's got cream highlighters here. We have two different shades concealers and a one for dark circles. So they're all very creamy shades. We're just gonna get ahead with the dark circle one first. Mixed with the salmon sort of light color, otherwise I think it's a little bit too deep. W7 is available here at Chemist Warehouse. It is affordable as most of the products are $5, considering how much of price increased over the years for drugstore, and they still captures for the $5 marketing price. I'm really surprised. And they're still bringing out good quality stuff. Some of them are not the best, I would say, like I would choose them over it, but in general speaking I think they're pretty good. I think I do have another like concealer palette from W7, the camouflage one, but I might decluttered it, I can't remember. This creamy concealer is very creamy and it is easy to be applied. I just can't remember if it has a long lasting power. The coverage, I would say it's probably light to medium, depends on how much you're building on, but I don't want to build on too much and then you get too cakey under my eyes, because I do feel like I need to use that setting pressed powder to further set it. The other area that I will use, but I don't think they have the perfect shade, is for this sunspot. I will be reviewing a recent skincare product that I've used. In that video, I've tried a popular, expensive-ish pimple pigmentation treatment, and I don't think it worked for my sunspot. I don't think it's necessarily the product fault, because this sunspot has been there since I was in high school. I think I got it while I was in high school, but I really had a high hope, and I think they were meant to treat spots like this, but maybe my one was just too old, like it's just can't be treated properly. I've just covered the area around the chin and the soft spot there. Very affordable. This one's like $5. You get 4 shades including the cream highlighter. So yeah. Moving on to set my face, we're gonna use Australia's Fresh and Flawless pressed powder. I did bring a little like sponge over here. Oh my god, the sponge is actually a little bit dusty. So let's use a brush. I'm gonna use my e.l.f. pointed powder brush. I absolutely love this brush. I think I was recommended by someone to purchase this, and they're right, it's really good. This powder though, it's a little bit in the thick and cream, like a powder foundation formula, but it definitely can be used as a setting powder if you use a very light hand. Just bring the little bit, increase the concealing property, the coverage, especially if you use a foundation like the one I use, a bit light, and you just want to build up that coverage, but don't do too much, otherwise it get a bit cakey. I got the whole line, the Fresh and Flawless foundation, concealer, and the powder, and I actually love all of them. I can't speak today. I'm just gonna drink a bit of coffee. They did came with a little mirror over here, and then they have a little sponge. So the sponge is more for, in my opinion, to apply as powder foundation purposes if you want it that way. For areas that I think I didn't add much of coverage, I can just kind of press on it and then work around. And then I'm gonna do a finishing powder to just give a little bit of luminosity. And this is Models Prefer Professional Finishing Veil. And this is a dupe for Hourglass, I think. If I was wrong, correct me. It is a very messy design. I don't like the design. It's just getting everywhere, and you can see this mirror. It just you just can't use it. But the powder itself is a really great powder, really fine, and it has a very, very lovely sheen to it. Literally everyone does makeup kind of here in Australia would recommend this one. I will eventually depot this into another container, but I don't have one now. I'm thinking I've got a designer brands one that I'm working on now. Once I finish, I'll just depot this into it. So let's just do again over this side. Can you see the sheen sort of already coming through? Versus here, it's just not bad, but like this side looks better. Models Prefer is a brand that's available at Priceline here in Australia, and I think it's exclusive available at Priceline. It's kind of like either it's like their house brand, or somehow they collaborated together or something, like a conjoined business or something. They have actually a lot of good stuff, but I think they haven't been doing really good recently. Like there is a while they're just like booming with a lot of things, but now they kind of just cool down. I guess COVID hit and everything else, but nevertheless, if you're traveling to Australia, this will be the one that I highly recommend. Don't use this as a setting powder because it doesn't set, but it just adds on this nice finish. Like everything is filtering like so much better than what it was before. Like even if your foundation and your base was a little bit using this can actually help and just like correct the mistakes a little bit. Alright, next steps. Let's do my brows before I move on to everything else. I've got McoBeauty brow pencils. This is a set coming together. McoBeauty has been on fire recently. I'm actually thinking doing a full face of McoBeauty, but I don't have their primer, foundation, concealer. I think that's the only three things I don't have. I've got, and their setting powder, like the base. Everything else for the face, contour, complexions, lips and all that, I've got it all. I might have to collect it just to see. I don't know if I really wanted to try their base, but I do really want to try a brand for a full face. So let me know if you want to see McoBeauty as a full face. Get ready with me and review that of style. But I've known McoBeauty before they got really popular. So even before, when they're still like kids makeup, I knew it from then. And they were having some good products since that time, but it was like hit and miss. These days they focus more on the high-end brand a lot more, duping them. I think they're heading into a right direction because especially with COVID and the increased prices of everything, makeup becoming a luxury and people still wanting to try the high-end ones, so there are coming out some good dupes. So the two pencils I've got here, one is in the shade medium dark, the other one is in the shade light medium. The really skinny one is medium dark over here, and then the bigger cut shaped brow is in the shade light medium, I think, light medium. There isn't much of differences, especially on my yellow toned skin. What I usually do is either use one of these or combine them to kind of just giving us something average. I would prefer something slightly darker, but my hair is not black. It might be a bit hard. It might be a bit hard to tell in front of the camera, but in real life, I've got a little bit of a hazelnut colored hair, especially under the sunlight. So let's just do my brows. The best thing from McoBeauty these years in terms of makeup, I reckon, is definitely their complexions, which are the ones that I have. They have the Beauty Wand. The Beauty Wand is really good for beginners in a quick on-the-go situation. I'm kind of thinking the longevity could improve, but it's a really good start. They do have a affordable price tag, but still I reckon is not as affordable as I thought. Good news, they're often on sale. In that sense, it's so much cheaper. So their Beauty Wand, I think it's around $20 to $30 marking if it's not on sale, and if it's on 40% half price is pretty common at Priceline. Oh no, they don't have it in Priceline. They have it in Raww and Co's, and also now Chemist Warehouse. I think Chemist Warehouse is the 40% off as I speak, because I was looking at their product and thinking maybe I should do a full face. Maybe I should just go in store and get it instead of like looking online. They also do have a Hollywood filter, which I really want to try. That seems like duping the Charlotte Tilbury one. I actually really wanted to buy the Charlotte Tilbury one. Charlotte Tilbury had a mystery box, just in case you guys don't know. I didn't purchase because while it was happening, I was in Hong Kong, and I'm like, you know what? I've already spending a lot of money traveling. I'm not purchasing anything yet. And I will be doing a shopping haul very soon, so keep an eye on all these videos. Right, I think that will be the brow. It's not the best color that I like because of the shades, but I don't regret it. I kind of wish to have a better combination in terms of the shade. These two are just a little bit or too brownish. Moving on, let's go for a complexion. I've got a few products here that are all for the purpose. First, let's go through this. The Red Earth Endless Summer Bronzing Compact. It's shade number 2, Golden Desert. The Red Earth was available at David Jones, I think. I think it is Australian brand, but it might also be like a British brand. In my memory, Red Earth to me is based in Australia, but if it was coming from British, excuse me. This one, I don't think you can get it either, at least not like everywhere, and I have no idea why they're just disappearing. I know they have their own target audience where they really like, but not widely accepted or booming as McoBeauty or as Mecca Max, that I've also got a thing to try from them to get ready. But they actually have really good formulas. I've also got their primers. I wanted to have their foundation, but when I was about to get it, they're already kind of out of stock for a lot of shades, and the popular ones including my shade, so I was unable to get it. But yeah, it's really good. So many good Australian brands because no one's talking about it, and over time they're just gonna decide to exit the market, and that's really sad because not that I've been in Australia that long, I've been more than a decade, so it's long enough, and I love everything, but it's just sad seeing the things we love are very affordable. They're disappearing because no one knows it or not enough people giving them support. But look, this bronzer is really pretty. Got a bit of tan, reddish, but also contouring enough. I just love it. And I need to change my battery, and I'll be back with you in a minute. I also brought in another light because I think it's just getting, like I said, cloudy, and it's been cloudy as soon as I start filming. So, as I was saying, the bronzer is a good one. It came with a little brush as well. This brush is too sculpting for what I like, but I think if you just don't have it on the go because it comes together, it's really good. Then just to further kind of browns and kind of builds, everything blends in all together, I'm going to bring my Mecca Max 5-minute pocket palette I've got in the shade Glow Off. I was buying this for 2 reasons. One is I want to try their cream formula, and they also have powder. Secondly, I attracted by the blue, and I don't use blue that often, but I was attracted by it, and it wasn't very expensive. And even with the eyeshadows, you've got one cream colors here, so it's just really a nice combination in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do is using this color to kind of blend everything a little bit more together before we go on for blush. Mecca Max is definitely a good, slightly higher end-ish brand here in Australia compared to like the W7, the Sevi by Designer brand that I just mentioned. They have great product, and they have some, like especially their sunscreen, but that's not makeup. Their eyeshadow palettes in a while that was like very popular and always sold out. I wasn't a fan at the time, but now I am, and unfortunately they're no longer having the color story that I was really into. But nevertheless, I think Mecca Max, I'm so glad it's still here, and they have skincare range, makeup, everything available. And I have in Mecca, just the city that I live in. I'm not in a huge city, but it's not super small town, but definitely not in Melbourne Central. So I'm really glad that Mecca has branched out to this regional, relatively bigger cities in Victoria, and that's just make life easier, and I can walk in to see things, to see all the products they have, experience the services. That's really meaningful to me, especially someone loving makeup. You just want it to be surrounded by it, so you have the vibe and you know what to choose. But besides the point. And then for blush, I've got a few options because I was looking for highlighters as well. So I do have a color from Mecca Max here, two colors actually. One is this cream blush, the other one's the powder. And then I've also got by Sevi by Designer brand this duo here. It's a cream highlighter along with a cream blush. So I'll show you the color story just in case. That's this one. This is called Rose. The Mecca Max one, I don't know what it's called. Do they have a name at the back? No. These two are somewhat similar, but this is more mauvey. This is definitely more rose. And they also have a powder here. This powder is more of, oh, that's too subtle to show on the camera. Because I was going to say, it's very my skin like. Can you kind of see it? I think you might just be able to pick it up. I think it's more just to set that cream, or if you have a really pale skin, then you might just have it as very light blush. And then I have one from OXX Cosmetics. I had their advent calendar unboxed this year, or the last year, just the past year, and I capped a few things. One is their blush, because I do think I like this color. So looking at it, I think what I'll do is to use the Mecca one, the cream, set it with the OXX. I'll do one side. If the cream is not working too well with everything that I've already got, then I'll just go use the powder. I will be using my finger to dabbing it on. That's okay. It's maybe a little bit more intense than I expected, but I think that was alright. OXX as a brand, it's also booming me because this is a makeup brand by Kmart. I'm using synthetic brush by Daiso. This is actually a Disney collaboration, but I think the Minnie Mouse is already rubbing off. If you're going for general stuff, Kmart is killing it in Australia. It's probably the best. Let's just say it this way. Target and Kmart all under the same like big company, and over the last 2-3 years, because COVID and everything, they've shut down a whole bunch of Target, I think 130 or 70 something across Australia, and then half of those places are becoming Kmart. That would not happen in the US. I reckon it's probably the other way around, but we're just so popular here. Where I had the cream, once I popped the powder, it's just booming intense, because I think that's just emphasized the whole thing. It's a little bit of burnout look by now. especially looking in real life, it's definitely have a bit burn. I think I'll just kind of wait everything set together, merge together a little bit by itself. And for highlighters, I think I've only got one to use. Yes. I've got the shade from Savvy by Designer Brand, the duo that I showed you earlier. I've got two, but I think this color probably gonna work a little bit better. Now looking at it, I probably should apply both the blush and highlighter first and then do the powder, but we'll do this cream highlighter. I'll just show you, where do I have spot here? Just pretty, very creamy, smooth. It's good. It is a little bit accentuating the texture underneath the skin. It doesn't make anything look bad, but if you do say have really bad skin texture underlying, I would suggest you do it before you set your face, and then once you set your face, the shine still come through, but it will cover the texture a little bit better. I think I will need to use my sponge to kind of blend things in a little bit more. I accidentally applied a little bit right here. I was not meant to do that. My face is pretty much not all done. We're gonna get into the eyes. For the eye, I've got the brand BYS. Who still know BYS? This used to be so popular, and I found quite a few Australian YouTubers was using BOS for a while, and they actually collaborated with Barbie 2-3 years ago. I did a full review, so check those videos out. They have a face powder palette, which they have a highlighter that I was kind of wanting to use as well. And Barbie videos is out all over again. So if you are onto something, I think their Barbie collection is still available. At least it's definitely available at certain like stores. Go ahead and check it out because Barbie is very popular. That is actually apparently a great movie. I saw the reviews. I haven't watched the movie. We're gonna use the peach palette, which I actually think it has this kind of Barbie vibe to it. I've got a few of their... Oh, do I have a few? I think I used to have a few, or I wanted to have a few, but this is the one that I decided to go ahead today. We are gonna go a little bit pink because I've also bring out the liquid eyeshadow by BYS with Barbie collection. It's called Glamour Shadow. I've got in the shade Fearless. This is like a pink undertoned glitter. So that's what we're gonna go for. Starting with a brush. For base, I think I'll just go with neutral today. That will be the way to go. The BYS formula is a little bit powdery, but I think BYS for a while they are trying to become, let me think, the revolution here in Australia, or like the elf in Australia, especially with their eyeshadow categories, but you can see there's quite a bit of fallout there. And then we would go ahead, I think I'll just use this shade over here, the second one on the left, to go the outer crease. See how it builds up. I used this palette maybe just once in the past. Like I literally cannot remember how I feel about it. It is a little bit harsh where I did the first one, like that kind of a bit hard to blend and leaves a little bit mark. So there's not much of new things coming out with BOS. I am subscribed to their newsletter, so I know if they're coming out with new things. The latest update, they had a few nail polishes recently, and not much of eyeshadows or face product. They came out with a skincare a while ago, which wasn't bad. But I guess for people who used to love BYS, it's definitely more for their makeup, and they're not doing the best in that category. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these brands used to be so up to it, which giving the Australian makeup lovers or YouTubers or artists to some idea to play. Now they don't. And here in Australia, we don't get the other countries stuff so quick. So we're kind of always behind. And then these days, like time is everything, right? I'm bringing the MAC brush. This is the 239S, and I'm using the darkest shade over here to emphasize the outer corner and the around my lash line. The mirror on this palette is very dizzy, so I'm not using it. I feel like I'm just gonna go into Wonderland in a second. In my memory, BYS palette are always better in their shimmers than their mattes. If I have to pick, like to be honest, a eyeshadow palette from an Australian brand that is really good in general, that is no mistake, is either Australia's or it's not emphasizing a lot, there is some there. So I'm gonna go ahead to use the shimmer shade right on top of it as well, and just to see if that adds up a little bit more color to it. Yeah, the shimmer definitely just builds up straight away. And I'm gonna use the second darkest shimmer here to the outer corner. I don't want it to create a halo look, but I kind of wanted to try something in that same concept. Okay, this shimmer is not picking up. It's very badly picked up and is a really light color, a lot lighter than I thought. Anyway, I don't like this shade. We're gonna go for, actually I'm gonna go from this booming pink shimmer again to the outer half of the eyelid. I'm gonna use my hand and it's still very hardly pressed. I try so much and I don't get much. And that's looking good once you applied it on, but it's just, I think it's either hard and panned or it's just a really hard to pick up shade. Keep trying the lighter shimmer color for the inner half of the eye. This one seems to be built up slightly easier, but it's very powdery. Okay. Yeah, this one definitely looks better. Now my eye looks actually really weird, because I think those two last pink shades was not going well. I'm trying a way. I'm thinking how we're gonna fix this. I'm gonna bring back, use a bit of matte shade that I had before for my crease and kind of just blend a little bit first. Don't know if that's gonna work, but let's just do it. Really want to restart this whole thing now. But to kind of just add a little bit bling on it, we're gonna go ahead with this Barbie liquid eyeshadow. I mean, why not? I'm gonna use it on my fingertip. See how pretty that shade is? Ooh, that's good. Although I don't have the best eye look, but that shade is looking pretty. Hopefully it helps with the overall look a little bit. Make it a little bit more Barbie. I do think it maybe help a little bit. You know what? We're already to the point that let's just forget about it. Yes, I will declutter this eyeshadow palette. Unfortunately, like I said, I love this one. BS got some good things. Peach palette, not my thing. The powder is like, it probably needs a really good hand to make it work, and I don't have that. For eyeliner, I have got the Quick Flick, the 2 dual size. I bought a really big angle that is not my size, so we're gonna use the felted tip side and to do that. And for my mascara, I'm gonna use the Raww Superfood Infused Beauty. This is also an Australian brand, and I think it's an organic brand. They have this sort of tapering shape one. It's not my favorite, and I think the long-lasting powder is not the best because of the ingredient they have is so natural. but it's gonna be okay for today's video. I'll do those and I'll be back. So I've done all the eyes. I know it still looks a bit, and I actually have to use two high-end to slightly fix it because I want to go a slightly colorful liner considering it's already so pink. I used the Purple Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil, also a Marc Jacobs Fine Liner Ultra Skinny Gel Eye Crayon in the shade Fine Wine. So Fine Wine is for my inner line, under lash, no. Marc Jacobs for my waterline, and then the Urban Decay is just adding a little bit of purple color on the inner side of my eye. I don't think it's actually seen as obvious on camera, but it just made me feel a little bit better when I look in the mirror. The last but not least is lipsticks, and then I'll give you a review of what I recommend if you're here in Australia and you want to purchase some of the brands and the products. So the lipstick, I'm using a brand called SHE. This one is still available, but I see it more often at TK Maxx these days. It used to be available at Priceline. If you followed me on my project pen, you would know I've actually wrote in a lipstick from the brand at the start and end up decluttering it. It's just because I don't use that shade that often. It was kind of like a Barbie pink. So I'll pick a shimmery shade because since I thought we were gonna go for pink, but let's just see how it turns out. Maybe a little bit darker actually. I would prefer something slightly more neutral because my eyes are already that pop. I mean pop in my opinion because I don't use these colors as often. Like, it's a very lovely shade. It's got shins onto it. It's got a little bit of scented. It has this sort of classic metal tin packaging design. Like that sound. It's not plastic. This is in the shade called Pearl. The brand is called Sheer Corporation. That's really good, and that kind of close up and finishes the whole eye look and makeup look. In general speaking, I am still very impressed that we actually have these many brands available here in Australia for us to choose from. The one that I would highly recommend if you're here traveling in Australia, if you want to go a little bit more high end, something a little bit more like a department store like, definitely check out Mecca Max as well as Napoleon Perdis. This one is not available, but they have a whole bunch of other ones. Their primer is also really good. So these are the high-end recommendations if you are travel Australia or if you want to buy something from Australia locally. For drugstore wise, the brand or the product that I really would highly recommend first is the models prefer this particular mineral finishing gel. It's got, how big this one is, 12 grams here. Affordable, great dupe, and is also very great finish as a finishing powder. I'll give you this nice shine. I do think it helps with my makeup. For powder foundations or setting your face, the Australia's Fresh and Flawless line is really good. Their concealer will be my least recommending product. Their foundation is actually really similar to the Estee Lauder Double Wear. Not exactly same, similar enough. So if that's something you really like, you want to try it, I would recommend to try the Australia Fresh and Flawless. And for BYS, their glitter eyeshadows is really good, especially the shins that has different colors, chrome shins in it, if you're after those. W7, although it's not an Australian brand, but you definitely see far more here. A lot of range, varieties, and product to try and test it out than UK. I believe we often talk about this a lot more often than some UK YouTubers. I'm not sure what happens there. If one day I get to travel there, I'll search it out. But yeah, the W7 brand is really good. I could do a full face of that brand because I have enough from them as well. The Quick Flick eyeliners, they were really popular. I think it's available overseas as well. They have the idea of the stamp. I don't know if they're the first one come up with the idea, but they are the first one that I know they can have a stamp for a cat wing. So if you're someone after those and you don't know how to draw it, or you kind of need a bit of help to get you started, definitely look it up. don't forget McoBeauty. They have great contouring complexion product. Their wand, they also have their liquid blushes, as well as their lipsticks. Their lipstick is actually really good. They have a couple of Fenty Beauty dupes and there are a couple of Maybelline dupes there, so yeah, definitely check it out. They're definitely a lot hit than misses, and I'm very proud. I have those things and they're all in Australia, easy for me to access, so I hope you guys really enjoyed it as well. Let me know what's your favorite brand or product that you found in Australia that is kind of more exclusive in Australia but not so much popular, well known elsewhere. So you know, we can all dig the good stuff and comparing, maybe they're duping some other things, or you know, they're just good product in general. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna get on a few more videos for while I'm having the look, while I'm having the time. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give me a like and consider subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!